Today we're breaking down the classic Ben Harper dorm room ballad, Burn One Down, which is actually a very heavily veiled metaphor for his love of the fluffy towel Yankee Candle. And it sounds something like this. So this is actually a really great lesson in adding single notes in a major scale to one chord to kind of give it a little bit of movement, a little bit of vibe, and a little bit of an easygoing feel, right? So first of all, this is in standard tuning. He actually tunes his to D sharp standard. So if you want to play with the song, you're going to have to tune one down. But anyways, this G major chord, right? Simplest thing in the world. So what goes well with the G major chord, if we're talking about maybe transitional notes, the G major scale. And this is actually one of those chords you can play in open position. The whole scale you can play in open position. Starting on a G, basically they're all the regular letters of the alphabet, 1 sharp, F sharp. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Okay? We can play those in one hand position using a lot of the open strings to help us out. So G is the 3rd fret on the E string. A, open A. B, C, D, open D. E, F sharp, and G. So again. Now we can utilize any of those single notes in one chord's context, or like we're going to show a little bit later, to move between chords. So basically we just have this one chord. We're going to strike the root note first, and then we're going to hit the rest of the chord. So root, chord, and then this run. And we can actually call out how we're doing the run in numbers of the major scale. So instead of going 3E, open A, 2A, blah, 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 we can number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So the first note in the G major scale, the second note, the 3rd note, the 4th note, and the 5th note, all right? So G, chord, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2, 5, all right? Now, you don't have to think like that. You can actually just kind of really get really familiar with this scale and then just use your ear to guide you, which is really going to be the most helpful thing in the long term. But thinking in scale degrees is a really helpful thing in case you want to have to like maybe move it without a capo, something like that, because it's easy to play in open position. But you could also do the same maybe in like a different key. If we think the numbers 1, 2, 3. We could just take like any major scale shape like in B or something. 1, 2, 3, 1. Same thing. We can just apply those scale degrees to a different shape and kind of get the same thing, right? So that's most of the actual whole riff. It's root, chord, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2, 5. Then we go back to the root, chord, he'll repeat that, but sometimes he'll change it up and go. And that's really the same notes, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2, back to G. So he's kind of just playing along inside of that chord with notes from the major scale, and it gives a really cool, laid-back acoustic guitar vibe. And he'll do this throughout the entire song. He actually does this in a lot of songs. And he kind of comes from the Bob Marley school of thought, which you'll find a lot of this type of playing in between open chords in his songs too. And again, so later it goes, G. Really, those are just 3 chords, G, E minor, and C. And he's just using notes from the major scale to connect those. He's making these connections, these transitional type things, which is almost kind of taking the spot of how a bass player would play. So even though a lot of Ben Harper stuff has a full band in it, a lot of these songs really translate incredibly well to solo acoustic guitar because they kind of have that bass line component in addition to the chords. Again, so here's the root note in the G major scale. The 7th note is always just a half step down, and then the 6th note is down from there. So G, F sharp, E, A, B, C. You can always do that. And really, feel free to use any of these to connect any 2 chords. So let's take something let's take maybe like a G to a G, or a G to a D, and then backwards. We can go G, and then backwards. That's Beauty, and that's like from Beauty and the Beast, right? Barely even friends, then somebody bends. yeah, that's Beauty and the Beast. So Alan Menken, I think his name is, Ben Harper. Those two are bros, you know for a fact. So this type of transitional playing will be found in all sorts of genres. That's why it's super important that you know your scales, whether they're in actual full positions or open scale shapes, because you can always use those for a quick transition between chords, and you can get some really cool results. So definitely check out Ben Harper's music. I was a huge fan back in the day, still am. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.